Okay, last month on the programme we were talking about the new Gary Moore album, Run for Cover, and this month we've got the man himself in the studio. Hello Gary, welcome aboard.
Hi.
Anyway, the one thing that strikes me about the album is there's lots of different people involved on it in terms of musicians and producers. Did that make it a difficult album to record for you?
Yeah, it made it difficult to sort of put the whole thing together, especially in terms of the producers, because we were using like 4 different producers, and working around the time when they were available and coordinating the whole thing was quite difficult.
Yeah. You've also got about 3 different bass players on the record, one of whom was Glenn Hughes.
That's right,
who was in the band for a short period of time and is now back in Los Angeles doing whatever Glenn Hughes tends to do back in Los Angeles. Why did Glenn Hughes leave the band?
Because I asked him to, basically.
Well, that's a good reason. What was the reason you asked him to?
Well, it was just a personality thing, really. It was very difficult to work with the guy, and it just became increasingly obvious that he wasn't the man to take on the road.
Yeah, and you have worked with him before, back in 1980, wasn't it? He was originally in G-Force with you, I think.
Yes, that's right, yeah. 5 years ago we tried to put a band together and a similar kind of thing happened then. But, I mean, the nice thing that did come out of it this time was that we got a couple of killer tracks done in the studio, and I was very proud of what we did together, so at least that was good.
Yeah, Glenn sings on, I think, 3 tracks on the album, doesn't he? Which have turned out very, very well indeed.
Yeah.
But when you go out live, you're going to be handling the lead vocals on
Yeah,
on
Neil Carter and
numbers.
I will share those vocals, and we did a warm-up show on Saturday and it worked out pretty good, so I'm not really too worried about it.
And also, through Glenn Hughes, you've also found the new drummer for the band, who's Gary Ferguson from Los Angeles as well. How's he working out?
He's working out great. Between Gary Ferguson and Bob Daisley, who's now the bass player in the band, I think they've got the best rhythm section I've ever had. And it's just made the whole thing a lot more exciting to work with because the 2 guys play so tight together, and they're a lot heavier than anyone I've ever sort of played with before, so it's great.
Would you say this is the heaviest band you've ever been out with then?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. One of the other interesting aspects of the record is it features Phil Lynott, who's on Out in the Fields and Military Man, both of which appear on the new album. How did you link up with Phil? Because for a while you 2 weren't talking to each other, were you?
Well, for 4 years, yeah. A long while.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of bumped into each other after not seeing each other for a long time after I left Lizzie. And it was funny, we were at the airport one day and everyone kind of stood back when they saw us walking towards each other because they thought we were going to have a punch-up or something. And instead we just kind of shook hands, and from there it developed into me playing on the Lizzie farewell shows at Hammersmith. And then Phil came over to Ireland last year to do this Emerald Isles video with me. And he sang on Parisian Walkways on one of the Belfast concerts. And I told him about this song that I'd written at the time called Out in the Fields, which I thought would be really suitable for his voice. So I played him the song and he loved it, and we came back and we went in the studio with Peter Collins and recorded it, and the rest is history. The rest is history, as they say, yes. You mentioned there the shows you did in Belfast last December. Yeah. Now I understand they were the first shows you've done in Belfast in 10 years. That's right. Was that a very emotional experience for you? It was really nice. Although it was a whole different generation of kids and everything that we were playing to, it was really nice just to go back there. And I hadn't been able to go back for a long time because basically no one would come with me, you know. I mean, Ian Pace didn't want to go back, and Ian Pace was your old drummer, of course, wasn't he? Yeah, so it was impossible to go back before, but this time everyone was up for it, and we went back and we had a great time. Some of your relatives turned out to see you, no doubt. God, I think there was more of them there than there were Panthers. It was amazing. Yeah. And you also shot a video while you were there, which has now come out as Emerald Isles, which documents really the whole journey over there. Yeah, we did 2 shows in Belfast and 2 shows in Dublin, and we filmed all of them, and we used like the best out of each show. And also we did a lot of location stuff around Belfast, you know, places where I grew up and stuff, and a lot of interviews with sort of old friends and family and stuff like that. So it wasn't just another sort of rock and roll sort of video. We tried to not have too much of the band just playing on stage, and we tried to break it up a bit more with things that we thought people might find interesting, and hopefully it turned out all right. I think a lot of people feel that the single you've had out in the Fields, which went to number 5 in the charts, was basically about the Irish situation. Is that true, or was it a more general song? It was a more general song, really. It could have been about anywhere where there's a war going on. And really it was just, it was set against the Irish thing when we did the video, because of a lot of the footage that we'd shot in Northern Ireland. It just fitted together really well with it, so we used it for the video, but really the song could have been about anywhere. Yeah. The song we mentioned before, Military Man, also has a kind of anti-war theme, which tends to pervade the album, really. Yeah, that's, well, maybe not so much this time as on things like Victims, where there was a lot of that sort of political content in the lyrics there. I mean, I think this time I've gotten back to writing more sort of personal songs again. But I always kind of stick a couple of those things in, you know, because it's me, it's always something that I feel strongly about, so there's always going to be 1 or 2 turning up. Yeah, on the new record you've got a song like All Messed Up, which is kind of light-hearted, about having too much to drink, I suppose. That's right, yeah. Glenn Hughes sings very well on that one. I guess it's a subject fairly close to his heart anyway. Yeah, maybe.
But you've also got a song like Listen to Your Heartbeat, which is obviously a much deeper meaning to that particular song.
Well, Listen to Your Heartbeat was really born out of an idea that I had when I was in Liverpool the last time, and just seeing all the kind of gloom and despondency and how this kind of great city had fallen into wasteland, and it was kind of it was laughable in one way, because, you know, they've built this great big shopping precinct in the middle, and they've got all these really posh shops and everything, and 2 cavern clubs, you know, both calling themselves the original Cavern Club, and nobody's got any money to go anywhere, you know. And I just got this idea in my head of people sort of lying awake at night listening to their own heartbeat, you know, and the image kind of stuck in my head, and that's how the song came about.
Yeah, I think the album has what you might call a fairly high-tech production on it. It's very modern sounding.
Yeah.
Is that something you're very much aware of these days as a musician?
Yeah, I think it's very important, especially for sort of heavier bands or hard rock bands, whatever you want to call them, to start moving forward with their production, because that's one of the things which has made this kind of music less accessible to people who listen to the radio. And I think that's how we score with Out in the Fields, because the production was so contemporary that it drew people into this kind of music who normally wouldn't give it the time of day. And I think it really is important for younger bands to consider that, you know, when they go in the studio, to check out what is going on in production today. Don't just go in and set up your guitars and amps and just bang through a song, because it's going to sound sloppy in comparison to what a lot of people hear on the radio today, when everything is in perfect time and everything's been done with drum machines. And, you know, I mean, later on you replace the drum machines with real drums, but just to get that kind of really solid feel, you want to do it metronomically and really concentrate on getting everything right on the backing track. That's the way to do it.
Well, I guess Out in the Fields has shown that is true, and you can compete in the charts with that kind of record.
It can work.
So anyway, thanks for coming along, Gary. Anyway,
Thanks
good
for
luck with
having
the
me.
tour.
Thank you.